Corruption is a significant issue in many European countries. Did you know that Serbia is one of the most corrupted countries in Europe? In the last 10 years, there hasn't been a significant change in the level of corruption in Serbia. It is a bit difficult to believe, but this is what the report says. Corruption occurs when individuals misuse their authority for personal benefit or to inflict harm on others, which is universally regarded as negative. It erodes trust in government and institutions, hinders economic progress, and contributes to various societal challenges. As per Transparency International reports, these 10 European countries are actually the most corrupted. Corruption in Slovakia is an ongoing problem. There have been some well-known corruption cases in the country, like the Gorilla case from 2011. In that case, secret recordings from 2005 to 2006 were leaked online. They showed that a private company paid millions of euros in bribes to Slovakian government officials. They did this to get special deals for privatization and government contracts. Reports show that a good number of Slovaks feel corruption is going up, with about 19% saying so. Also, around 11% admitted to giving money to government workers to get things done. A survey in 2021 asked Slovaks if they thought many people in certain jobs were corrupt. Most pointed fingers at members of parliament, judges, government officials, and even the prime minister. To tackle this, Slovakia has introduced some reforms, like setting up a central contract registry and putting all government contracts online. Corruption is a big problem for doing business in Albania. While Albania has laws against corruption, they're not enforced well, and not many people are convicted of corruption. Since 1990, Albania shifted from a centralized economy to a liberal one, but this transition brought mainly negative effects to politics, the economy, and society. Economic growth and corruption levels are two key factors that measure a country's progress. Economists now focus more on economic development, which includes factors like health, education, and income rather than just economic growth. Research shows a negative relationship between corruption and progress, with more corrupt countries having lower levels of human development. In Albania, this relationship is even stronger compared to EU countries, indicating the significant impact of corruption on its progress. Transparency International reported in 2012 that corruption played a major role in causing the Greek financial crisis. This crisis was triggered by the global financial crisis that began in 2007 and extended into 2008. During this period, there were significant disruptions in financial markets, including the collapse of major financial institutions, a housing market crash, and a sharp increase in unemployment rates. Tax evasion was widespread, with estimates suggesting that up to 30 billion euros per year went uncollected. In 2016, the OECD, Greece, and the European Commission collaborated to tackle corruption through Greece's National Anti-Corruption Action Plan. Political corruption is also widely acknowledged as a significant issue. Government's anti-corruption efforts are seen as ineffective due to poor enforcement of laws and ineffective anti-corruption agencies, hindered by political influence and frequent staff turnover. Recent media reports have highlighted involvement of high-ranking officials in corruption cases. In a report about corruption in the European Union in 2014, it was found that 57% of Romanians felt like they were directly impacted by corruption in their everyday lives. After the fall of the communist regime in 1989, Romania took steps to align its judicial system with EU standards. These included establishing the National Anti-Corruption Directorate in 2002 to handle high-level corruption cases. Since joining the EU, Romania has made progress in making the public sector more transparent and accountable, although there are still areas needing improvement. The Transparency International study reveals serious shortcomings in Bulgaria's lobbying regulations, including a lack of transparency, integrity, and equal access to decision-making. Despite efforts to introduce new laws to address these issues, none had been passed by 2014. This highlights the ongoing need for Bulgaria to improve transparency and accountability in its political processes. Doing so will help build trust in the country's governance and ensure that citizens' interests are fairly represented in policymaking. During the 2014 parliamentary election in Bulgaria, Transparency International got 202 complaints. One of the top issues was vote buying. For example, in a small village, a pub owner offered Roma voters $40, $55 to vote for a specific party. They'd only get the money if that party won. Also, before the May 2013 election, around 480,000 illegal ballots were found in Kostanbrod. This made people worry that someone was trying to cheat in the election. The owner of the printing house where the ballots were found said they were just spoiled. These examples show the different types of corruption happening in Bulgaria. Hungary is perceived as having the worst public sector corruption record in the EU, according to Transparency International's latest report. In 2012, Hungary was ranked 19th in the Corruption Perceptions Index, but over time, its performance got worse. By 2022, Hungary has lost the minimal lead it had a year earlier against the poorest country of the EU. Bulgaria improved somewhat, while Hungary's position worsened. Overall, Hungary's ranking in the Corruption Index has gone down the most in the last 10 years. Despite receiving a lot of money from the EU, Hungary hasn't become more efficient or seen more economic activity, like more businesses starting up. Inequalities in society haven't gotten any better either. Instead, corruption has actually increased. Belarus faces corruption due to various reasons. Government doesn't always tell people what's going on or how decisions are made. The laws aren't always strong enough to stop corruption, and there aren't enough ways to hold people accountable when they do something wrong. Also, because Belarus has a system where a small group of people or organizations have a lot of power, corruption can happen more easily. On top of that, because the economy is controlled by the government, it can create situations where people might be tempted to act corruptly. Moldova deals with corruption because of several reasons. One big reason is that the laws aren't always enforced well, so people can get away with doing corrupt things. Also, the government doesn't always tell people what's happening or how decisions are made, which makes it easier for corruption to happen. Since Moldova changed from a communist system to a market economy, some old ways of doing things have stuck around, making corruption more common. Plus, because many people don't earn much money, they might be tempted to take bribes or do other corrupt things. On top of all that, organized crime has a big influence, and there are close connections between business and politics, which can lead to more corruption. Ukraine is fighting a two-front war, one against an external enemy, Russia, and the other against an internal one, corruption. In January 2023, Ukraine's government dealt with fresh corruption scandals, with deputy ministers of defense and infrastructure implicated, joining a long list of previous cases. Before Russia's full-scale invasion on February 24, 2022, President Zelensky had launched an anti-corruption campaign, albeit more than 2 years after his 2019 election win. The country's history of Soviet-era practices and a slow transition to a market economy have allowed corrupt networks to persist. Additionally, economic challenges, including low wages and high levels of poverty, can make individuals more susceptible to bribery and other corrupt activities. Moreover, the influence of organized crime and the close ties between business and politics further exacerbate the issue. Many experts admit that in recent years, corruption in Russia has become a business, and it's clearly affecting many aspects of life, including the economy, business, government, law enforcement, healthcare, and education. This problem is deeply ingrained in Russia's historical governance model, which has weak rule of law. Transparency International's 2022 report labeled Russia as endemic in corruption, giving it the lowest score among European countries in their Corruption Perceptions Index for 2021. Under Vladimir Putin's leadership, Russia has been described as a kleptocracy, where those in power use their positions for personal gain, an oligarchy, where power is concentrated among a few wealthy individuals, and a plutocracy due to its economic system that favors close ties between business and government. In the end, the Russian population pays for this corruption. So this was today's video. Take care. See you in the next video.